Okay, good morning. Oh man, so I took notes on this actually because there was kind of a lot to unpack. We kind of talked about this yesterday, but I really want to talk about the I moved out video. Now, I made my own I moved out video, or no, I didn't. I made a how to move out video. But what I will do is I will try to go find some content and put together a how I moved out video. But I saw this girl do it and I thought it was really interesting because she seems like, I don't know, like fresh enough that I had so many questions. So I like literally just shared the questions that I had. But she's interesting. So she's like 19. She's basically saying like, "Yay!" I guess she left her parents' house when she was 18. Fine. I think that, and then this is important too. So she basically says that she bypassed college because I asked her. I was like, "Oh, why did you decide to go the route of working and apartment living as opposed to going to college?" And then she says, "College just wasn't the route I chose. School was always stressful for me." Kind of have questions about that, but we'll save that. Actually, I can just read out what I said to her. So I said, "College isn't for everyone. There are so many great points you brought up in the video. I took notes and was gonna make a response video. So this is kind of that." Um, I said, "I love that you have a YouTube channel to start to share your thoughts about life and the world. I don't see many young black girls doing that, so yay." And I asked her, "Do you follow any other female YouTubers? If so, who?" And then I said, "I don't think that college is necessary for everyone, but I do think it's really important for young women, especially to have some sort of structured growth from 18 to 22." Okay, so the reason that I said that, I'm gonna like expand a little bit more here. Now, whatever, I don't know, she hasn't made this clear at all. One thing she also like really gassed over, and I kind of don't like that, and I don't think it's useful. If you're going to come online and talk about your story, provide some context that puts it into perspective. Otherwise, no lie, people are just going to assume that you're a sex worker. So I'm not sure about this. She might be like one of the OnlyFans people. Like I have no idea because she doesn't really say anything about it. She literally just says like, "Oh, I'm trying to work on finances." She kind of hints at the possibility that she could have like a roommate or not. I really don't know, but I will like, especially that's the other thing. I feel like I've been very transparent, not very transparent, but transparent enough to where it's like very clear, like whatever way I'm earning my income, you kind of like know that that's happening. So I did kind of feel like it wasn't really clear if she was hinting at the fact that whatever, maybe that will be clear, maybe it won't. But I also think that the fact that it isn't clear kind of enables other people, and I don't know where this girl is from, but it enables other people to kind of live under the assumption that that is sort of the case, that she's, making money, let's say, in not necessarily like taxable ways. I don't know. But either way, some kind of way, like her finances were in a place where it was like good enough to sign a lease on an apartment, and that's where she is now. And I think just the fact that we have like one person, well, there's more than one person, but like her specifically, like she's doing it. I'm happy. I think that this is good. Let's like start a conversation about that. And I don't want to continue to be the person who's like repeating shit that I've already said, right? So if you haven't seen the video on like how to move out, go watch that one because it goes into like finances, like terms of lease. This is how much you should make, income streams, bank statements, things like that. And if you seriously don't know any of that stuff, go watch it so that you'll learn. But I mean, hopefully you're not finding out that information from the internet. If you are, I don't know, there's one video that, could help. Anyway, let's talk about the other things that she brought up because I think that those are interesting too. So then she starts to go into like, here's why I moved out. Now, she she completely like brushes over like all the real reasons. She basically says, "This is the normal stuff. Like I was going through things with my parents. Well, we don't know. Like I don't know what she was going through with their parents. Like it sounds like school was challenging for her. And that's another thing that's very strange about being a high school student and then vocalizing aloud that that is a stressful time in your life because like you don't have any responsibility. So how hard could it be? Don't get me wrong, I do think that there's like the normal social aspects of, adolescence that are like kind of difficult, but like those never stop. So like once you become an adult, the same expectations that you had then, you still have them now. Like nothing really changes. Like whatever your, skincare routine is or whatever you have to figure out a budget for stuff. The only thing that happens is other adults around you stop providing money and resources for you, and then you are exclusively responsible for providing those things for yourself. That's the only thing that's different. So the way that she kind of brushes over that, like, well, no, we don't know. Like, we don't know what's going on with your life. Like, we don't know what happened with your parents. We don't know why basically it wasn't this like very pleasant experience for you to stay home and do some more growing as opposed to, spending your money working and then paying your own rent. We don't know. Though I do think, and I really do agree with this, I think 18 is a really good age for you to get the fuck up out of your parents' house because you will start paying the mental tax. I've talked about the mental tax before, but the mental tax is basically it's instead of paying rent in money to go like have a roommate or live somewhere else, you end up having to deal with like the authority of the adults in your life, like your parents, and they don't like really let you grow. Like as you're going out, you're trying to have new experiences, you're probably trying to date and do all this shit. You can't really do that in your parents' home because like it's inappropriate in a lot of ways. So that is an important part of growth, and you won't have that growth if you stay with them. So you do need to leave. Okay, so I'm just gonna move on from that. Then there were a bunch of other things that she didn't talk about them, but I took notes on them because she like mentioned them very quickly. So she talked about how like she outside of work, she's like, I don't really have many friends. And then she was kind of talking about how she doesn't really have many hobbies. Okay. Like, first of all, get some hobbies, get some friends. I think starting the channel is a good thing for her because hopefully she will learn. Oh my God, of course there's a B. Hopefully she will build some community, even if it's just online, where there are people who care about her reality, like her story. And having like frequent commenters like that will help in some way. Or therapy. I always encourage therapy. I think it's a good thing. She talks about coworkers and dealing with coworkers. Coworkers are hard. I really don't know. Like, and actually, I will talk about this, but in a different video. I do think that work, especially work in American society, there's a bit too much life that is moved into work, and it's unnecessary. Like, there's some expectation that coworkers are supposed to be like friendly with each other, that you're supposed to like your coworkers, that you're supposed to have some interest in them being well. And I just think that if you look at the way that society is, like that's just not the case at all. So yeah, I don't know. um okay, I already touched on all of that. The video is just interesting. I guess like my biggest takeaway is that sometimes when as you're going through sort of the learning grind of like, it's like you're going through the learning grind of growing up, which basically means like you're just weaning off your parents' resources. So, like their shelter, their food, their money, their cell phone plan, all of those things. And then now you go out into society and you get a job or you start a business, some sort of way, you bring in economic resources for yourself. And those economic resources start providing for you in the real world. So as you're doing that, that is what I'm referring to as like adulting, right? You don't realize like all of the stress that comes with just doing all of that stuff. Like it isn't easy. It's like mentally taxing because you have a routine, you have budgets, you just have like constraints on all sides. You can do this, like you can go where your money will take you. That's another thing that this girl kind of she hinted at. She was kind of talking about the stress of budgeting, like I never have any money to do anything, or on this is how much money I have for food, or she was saying kind of something to that extent. And like, that's true, but that's just kind of a part of it. You just, I don't know, like the further along you get into life, then the more money you'll have access to and the more stuff you'll want, but then maybe the more expensive stuff you'll need. Like buying a home is expensive. Better cars are expensive. Insurance, medical bills, those are all expensive. And like, it's as you get older, like you have to have that stuff. And like when you were a younger adult, someone else was providing that stuff for you. I also want to go back for a second because I rewatched another video that I made that was basically talking about how like black content creators don't support other black content creators. And I feel like this is really true for like black female content creators. And someone on the last video basically posted like, oh yeah, like black women, you should take notes, like teamwork makes the dream work or something. And I made a note about that and I want to just talk about it right now. So I want to talk about groupthink versus segmentation because there's like pros and cons to each kind of worldview. The really positive thing about black women having no community is that we can all go out into the world, into society, into the globe, into the nation, and live in all of these different places and kind of enter all of these new communities that have their own biases, their own worldviews. And now we all have these like kind of different experiences. And then we can like come back in kind of a shared space, sort of this, right? The platform. If you follow other black women and listen to their stories, then you can do that. I've done that. And then you can compare and contrast. Like, oh, okay, so this black woman went to Boston. Like Kelly Stamps has a video about Boston, or another black woman who's living in New York, or there's me who has a whole bunch of California experiences. You, no matter, like, you can literally just go listen to other people from other parts of the world who've had different experiences than you. Oh, that's so funny. And then you can compare and contrast, okay? The reason that I think that this is good is because then you can like start to look at trends, at themes from other groups, higher level groups, and then see how those compare to like you and like your individual, like, so there's like the macro society who has a lot of these stereotypes, especially when they're coming from groups who are more together. And then when you're interacting with one individual or maybe a small sector of that larger group, and you can see, you can analyze like really like your treatment, your experience with that group, and then kind of report back to the larger community in a sense. It's not necessarily an isolated community. Like, obviously, if you're here, this is like my space. I am the moderator of this, I am the prompter of these conversations. Like, they all start with things that I'm interested in, and I initiate these conversations based on something happening in my world, in my life. But you might relate because maybe you are in a space in your life going through something similar, and now it's like, ooh, okay, like let's talk about this. And I have noticed that these are becoming prompts for larger, longer conversations about other things happening in society. Something that's interesting about that is there are other people who are not going through what I'm going through right now. There's some people who are finding videos from Tennessee, right? Like they're going now, today, they are going through something I was going through in 2023. So now they found that experience that I shared then, and they are now able to go back, watch, and re-interact with those old conversations. But I'm somewhere else in my life right now. Like I have grown through that stuff, and now I'm somewhere else. So the thing that I really like to go back to this particular instance of this one person sharing their experience is like she's in this space, right? It seems like a lot of her thoughts are like a little cluttered. She's just like bambling on, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. But it's also new to her. It's also fresh to her. Um, and this is a good thing because I feel like, um, so the like the farther that, how can I say this? The more that you settle into this new experience. So for this girl, maybe like after a month or after 3 months or after 4 months, this experience of living on her own won't be new anymore. It's going to be more normal. And because it's more like normal for her, then she can really dive into the different aspects of her life, of her lived experience, and share more about how those are related to this audience, maybe that she's trying to build. So she can hone in more on whatever family dynamic caused her to move out, or budgeting and finances, or maybe having some furniture in your apartment. That's, we'll save that for. I thought that was kind of interesting because I definitely have also moved into a space where I was like, yeah, who needs furniture? It's kind of nice to have a little love seat, or just like a lounge chair, especially if you're gonna sit around talking. Because she was like standing the whole video, so that was a little bit funny. At the same time, I think it's so great to look back at these experiences and then be able to say, wow, this is how I was feeling at that time. And it isn't like hypothetical, because even if it's just a journal entry, or if it's a picture, but especially if it's a video, it feels really good to look back and be like, damn, on that day, here's how I felt. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. I saw it and it just sparked so much. It was like a curiosity. It was like nostalgia. It was just like so much like I remember that. Wow, that was like, it was like good times, right? Like, I don't know. It was awesome. I want to see that girl grow, and I hope, I don't know. Let's put her on the list of like um people we are interested in, and check back on that in like 2 weeks. Hello, my name is Olivia. Welcome to my channel. I like to sit around at coffee shops or at the beach and talk shit. I talk about women's issues, feminism, relationships, but mostly being a black woman in America and how to survive that. Politically, I'm moderate, even though that seems hard for people to believe. I'm very conservative on issues like immigration, very liberal on other issues like feminism and abortion. Thanks for being here.